Welcome back, everybody. We are on part 2. It's time for the hot tags of the week. Let's knock TNA out immediately, okay? There's two things to talk about for that. They kind of deal with each other a little bit. Another person has left, MVP, and of course, typical rumors, typical scoop, scuttlebutt that he might be going to NXT, where he's just going to travel around and do the ROH and New Japan and Global Force kind of thing. All of it kind of depends on, what the hell he actually has planned. Nobody really knows for sure, but would you guys like to see MVP in NXT or some of the other ones?
I like MVP, but he's got gray hair. He's got nothing to bring anymore. I mean, I watched some of the videos he had in TNA. Matter of fact, the way he went out, the very last segment he did that aired was very interesting because he dropped some racial tension based on all the stuff that's going down in the country. He brought that into storyline, which I was wondering when somebody was finally going to do that. But it got cut short. And as a matter of fact, he had a lot more stuff recorded, but unfortunately we're never going to see it. And I don't know if you're going to be bringing that up later, so I don't want to go into detail on that. So let's stick to MVP.
I actually don't know exactly what you're talking about, so bring it up now.
Okay, so who the fuck was it? I think it was Hernandez, was originally contracted to Lucha Underground. However, he decided to leave, but he was supposed to have his 30-day non-compete clause, just like anywhere else. Well, Hernandez basically said, fuck that, went to TNA. They didn't background check what his situation was. They hired him, done a bunch of recordings with the Beatdown Clan and Hernandez. And Lucha Underground found out, got their lawyers on the case, and now TNA basically is screwed. They can't use any of that footage. They removed all of it from the currently airing shows. Like, if you actually watched Impact, I think it was this week and last, there's actually just a random segment missing where they play, like, an old pay-per-view match.
Wow.
Really? And you want to know what the funniest thing is? Guess what pay-per-view match they played?
Hernandez?
No. It was James Storm versus Magnus. Two guys who are no longer with the company.
I see. I thought I read something on Twitter, but the person on Twitter was said GFW. So when you brought up TNA, I was like, whoa, the fuck? So that person was probably an idiot or fucked up. So, so what you're saying is TNA, they're dumb as a bunch of fucking rocks.
Yes.
Well, no surprise there. When it comes to the MVP situation, though, or MVP, I think he'd be fine as like an enhancement talent in NXT. I mean, if they could bring Rhino back, why can't they bring an MVP back? I would love to see him try to fit his like little tunnel thing that they had for him on that small NXT stage. So why not?
That would be the best place for me, I think, for him. Because really, like, he's already went through the WWE system. He knows the way that they like to do things. And do I really want to see him be like a top guy in, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to see him be a top guy in New Japan because I don't watch New Japan, but you know what I mean?
I was going to say the difference between bringing MVP back and having Rhino back on NXT is I like Rhino and I never liked MVP. So I would be happy if he was not on NXT because I've never been a fan of MVPs. But then again, I don't want the guy to be out of a job. So sure, put him with ROH or something. I mean, that's cool, but he's talented. I'm not a fan, though, so I don't want to see him on my TV.
You know what? I think he would be a guy that you could put down in that training facility area somewhere down the line. Someone that could train some of those people. MVP was not a slouch in the ring, and he was not a slouch on the mic as well.
Have him behind the scenes in the
someone that could do that.
Sure.
Now, another thing that's changed with TNA, they're going to change the way that they do their contracts. This is their latest way to fix the company. Well, this thing will fix us, that kind of shit. But they're going to make it so instead of having a monthly guarantee and on top of that having per appearance deals, they're going to go strictly per appearance. And the only people that are immune to this are the top talent, Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, etc. They're going to get a guarantee no matter what. But everybody else is going to get paid just a little bit more based on their appearances. And of course, people are upset about it because they're saying, well, if I don't, get booked on the card, then I'm out all that fucking money instead of at least getting some kind of a guarantee. It kind of makes sense a little bit to me, but at the same time, this seems like it's such like a bleeding the company dry kind of a trickle-down effect. And I can't imagine that this will help out at all. Anybody more optimistic about it?
Actually, this is probably the smartest thing that they've done. I'm sure they had a lot of guys under contract, which they probably weren't using. By switching to the pay-per-appearance method, which most companies use, they're actually they don't have to pay talent that they're not going to use. They can find somebody cheaper if they need to. So for a company that's always having financial issues, I think this is one of the best decisions they made.
I can't wait for TNA to just die already.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, after it is completely done and over, the books and the tell-alls that everybody, you know, all the terrible shit that we haven't even heard about yet, that they're finally able to dish on. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And all the things that are like on the opposite end of the spectrum from Dixie, who goes like, "No, it wasn't my fault." Let's see what else we have here. Broken Skull Challenge crew went on strike. They said that they need to get different contracts because they need health benefits, pensions, stuff like that, or whatever. Obviously, this is a situation that revolves around Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it up and stuff. But the reason why he wasn't doing tough enough was because of the show. And now this show is kind of messed up. And, you know, typical kind of strike thing. I'm sure that this will most likely just get resolved and that'll be the end of it. But do you guys think that it makes sense? Or do you care at all? I mean, I've never watched Broken Skull Challenge. I actually don't even know what the hell the challenge is on the show because I could not give a shit. But
I mean, if they're having contract disputes, I couldn't tell you if it's right unless I know the details of the contract dispute.
It's mostly a type of thing where they want to be covered for, like, if anything goes wrong, like, they've kind of got, like, the health insurance kind of aspect to it and stuff.
Shouldn't that be, like,
something that they should have had from the beginning?
Well, no, isn't that, like a union thing? Like, isn't that more
Exactly.
like that?
Yeah, or something, I think it's the, I can't remember
Not
the name.
Screen Actors Guild, but it's whatever the behind-the-scenes version
There's
of that
Editors, I think, is what it was constituting. I'll try to bring it up real quick, but it was something along those lines where the union is supporting them, and
Well, you know what's way more important? That people who work at McDonald's get $15 an hour.
But then I'd have to pay more for my Fleetwood Mac.
Ha!
I see what I did there.
Instead of having it your own way, you can go your own way.
Jesus Christ.
It's better. Fuck you, Caleb.
Wow.
now I got that song in my head. God damn.
Are we still talking about TNA?
No, let's talk about Fleetwood Mac some more.
Oh, good. Thank God. I was gone
Okay,
for like 10 seconds.
What it is that they're looking for is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees contract.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which works underneath the Editors Guild, and it's that they want to make sure that they have. Where's that list on here? I just lost it. Shit. Yeah, it just says which would earn them
That's why they
health
need to make sure
benefits.
they have it.
Which would earn them health benefits and pensions. So they don't have that going in there now. Now it's gotten to the point where they are like, screw it, we're just going to walk off the show until we have it. And
Wait, they want pensions for working on one show?
somehow,
like-
I don't know.
Oh, this actually sounds like a dispute with the union and not the show itself. That's probably what this is. And if that's the case, then this might actually take longer than you might think. And we remember the writers' strike from a few years ago.
That's true.
Didn't that affect wrestling too?
I think
the-
so. I think in the
Actually,
wrestling,
I
like-
don't think. I actually think no one quit, and I think it was because they were all terrified of Vince.
No, I
that
vaguely
what-
remember that happening, and they had to like get Dusty Rhodes and Paul Heyman together to emergency write the show or something like that.
Yeah, like they needed to have people that weren't officially writers to
shit,
just
I
kind of
remember
book.
what you're on about, and the show was actually really good that night.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was like wrestling could have been okay without that, you know, like without the creative team, but at the same time, the movie industry and the TV industry was just like bombed. Like so many movies were awful.
Oh my
and-
god, dude, Colbert. I was a huge fan of Colbert at the time, and his writers walked off, and it was awful.
Funny enough, at
Was it
that time,
2007 or 2008?
it was 7, I think. At that time, though, I was still kind of watching Conan O'Brien. Like, I hadn't gotten annoyed with him yet. And I found those episodes to be the most entertaining. And literally, this sounds completely unentertaining, but one of the segments he was doing, he was like, I don't know what the hell to do. So something that I usually do is I spin my wedding ring when we're trying to figure out jokes. I figured I would just do it now. And it became this thing that, like, for multiple days, they were keeping this tally of, like, how long he could spin it. And the audience was so fucking into it.
It's like a Baron Corbin match.
Well, basically, because it was like, you know, they're doing a counter, and it's like 30, 31, and that's like, oh, celebrity's coming out to promote something. Oh, okay. So hell, if maybe this will make a Broken Skull Challenge something interesting enough to watch if there's no people writing on it.
So
And...
I have a question about that writer's strike. Did it affect video games at all?
No.
No.
It was just
No, video game writers already suck. So
just film and TV.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, video games are usually written by their programmers. And if so, I don't think they hire guild writers. I think they just hire somebody.
I don't think the guild controls that video game stuff anyway. I think it's only screen.
It's only a matter of time, though.
Oh, that's screen, but you know what I mean. It should. I mean, they're practically movies now. We're getting way off topic.
yeah, like this for a lunch sack, you got way too much conversation out of this.
Speaking of reality TV and blah 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 blah. Sure, that'll be the transition. Let's talk about Tough Enough.
Ugh, do we have to?
Mick
I've
Foley
not watched an episode, and I've got nothing to say.
Well, Mick Foley's boycotting it, he said, because of Patrick Clark's elimination. And I totally have to agree with him. I'm not boycotting it, because I'm still going to get some level of entertainment out of it. But Patrick Clark should not have been eliminated from Tough Enough. And it seems like almost everybody outside of the people who had voted for this agree. I don't know if you guys, I know most of you don't watch Tough Enough. And I highly doubt anybody watches Tough Talk. But between the episode of Tough Enough, Tough Talk, and the YouTube and backstage kind of like extras and stuff, they've had The Miz, Daniel Bryan, Hulk Hogan, and Chris Jericho essentially all... Oh, and I just forgot earlier today, they had Booker T, Billy Gunn, and Lita. Everybody on the show that is responsible for this kind of stuff say, this is total bullshit, we hate the idea that this is how the show works, and Patrick's going to end up with a WWE contract anyway.
Wait a minute, why couldn't they use one of their saves on him? Haven't they, not used any of them yet?
Right, that's what I don't understand. Like, Daniel Bryan in this episode, for those who don't know, they've got, the three judges have one save apiece per season, which I highly doubt there's going to be a second season, but you know. So if they have the bottom three people, they could have been like, you know what, I don't want Patrick to go, I think he needs another week or whatever, and they could have saved him. Daniel Bryan said he had two of the three people that he would have wanted to save, but he didn't want to use it because he wasn't sure, which one he should, which is kind of stupid. But afterward, he was just like, shit, I should have saved Patrick. And Hulk Hogan was like, you know what? Damn it, I could have saved him. And The Miz started off Tough Talk just basically going, you guys are fucking idiots. There's been this general idea of everybody, Booker T, I think, on his little backstage extra thing today, he literally looks at the camera and he goes, guys, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. So it's like, they all get this idea that the show is total bullshit, which we all knew. I mean, it's reality TV, and it's a popularity contest and stuff, but Mick Foley's boycotting it and all that. And the general consensus is, this is the guy that was good on the mic, good in the ring, very passionate, exactly what you would be looking for in a WWE superstar. And the fact that he got voted off just proves that Tough Enough is a flawed concept.
Were the other two guys white?
Yeah.
I was about to bring up the same thing.
You think that might have been part of the voting?
Yeah.
I
hope
don't
not.
be that.
I hope that's not why people voted him in. I mean, I don't
really. I'm sorry, but if I don't really want to be that guy, but just this idea that people, the whole idea of people voting, it's just terrible in the first place. But
People don't know
really
what the
hope
fuck
that's
should be good in there.
Mhm.
Exactly.
People have no idea what they want.
And I don't necessarily know the demographic that watches Tough Enough because they don't release numbers like that, so we don't know the age group that really votes for this type of stuff. But
they do release those numbers. They're required to.
Yeah, I know, but what the fuck's going on? But
I don't know them, but they're out there.
Yeah, but are you gonna go look at them? That's what I mean. You're not going to. So.
Well, see, Tough Enough and Total Divas have basically the same rating every week. They're almost the same amount of viewers and everything like that. They're at 0.4. I've been doing the ratings the past couple of days, so I know. But I know that a lot of the people that watch Total Divas are obviously women that are into the gossip kind of thing. I don't know if that's the same case when it comes to this, because it's another reality kind of show. It's more targeted towards men, sort of. So I would assume it would be mostly hardcore WWE fans and some other people that are just into the reality show kind of games. But you would assume that the people that were big WWE fans would be voting for the WWE guy. And he was up against Josh, the big guy who does the Yeti call. He was not too bad, but, and ZZ, the lovable retard guy.
I'm just going to go ahead and say something. You are not selling me on this show. I'm somehow more disinterested in Tough Enough.
No, I wouldn't be telling you to watch it. It's not good.
The format was dead after the first season. It's just fucking terrible show.
I've heard no good reviews for this season at all. Mm-hmm. Nobody said anything good about it that I've heard.
This is definitely not something that's good at all.
It's the type of thing where, like, this show has some good elements, and the bad elements far outweigh it, and they're stronger. Like, even when it comes to the editing, it's choppy and kind of piss poor. But, like, the way that they run it, like, they don't have, like, the judges that are responsible for putting the people in the bottom three. They aren't the ones that are dealing with them. Booker T, Lita, and Billy Gunn are. So they just watch the TV show, and they end up basing it based off of that. So if the people that are producing it want to have somebody, like, look like a bad guy, suddenly they look like assholes. It's like they could be that could be the one argument that they had the entire week. And if they make that the focal point, then the fans are like, oh, I don't like that guy. So it's so flawed, and Mick Foley was just, like, this is a fucking popularity contest. It's bullshit. I'm done. So,
yeah.
I don't know. What's this Tough Enough status that you got here?
Patrick actually just tweeted a few hours ago. And I guess there was some rumors circulating today from the Wrestling Observer saying that he was offered a WWE contract after his elimination, and he turned it down.
Huh.
But that's his response to it. He's saying, you guys are drinking the wrong Kool-Aid. If I ain't post it, it ain't true.
At the end of the day, if he's getting a contract from WWE, then it should be a good thing. I mean, fuck the TV show. If you get a contract regardless, and I'd be happy.
Thing is, he's saying that this report is false.
Well, plus the contract when you win Tough Enough is for $250,000.
Still, at the end of the day, if he was eliminated, he still gets a contract by WWE. It's a good thing.
I'm just going to go say that's actually the average starting contract someone signs.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Huh, damn. All right,
dude, wrestlers make a lot of money.
I would have thought that they would have been a lot worse than that.
It might be like 150, but
I think it's significantly less. There's a lot of guys that have come out and just said that they're making little to no money and they're living hard for the first 2 years.
We're talking about developmental guys. The main roster guys, they do really well now.
Yeah, but I mean, he would be a developmental guy more than anything.
Not if you win this. I would think if you win this, you go straight to the main roster.
If you were a developmental guy anyways, you're just staying in that Florida area. You can't be spending too much money, so the money that he would make, it's not like he's going around traveling everywhere still.
If you win this, you should go to developmental.
At the very least, you should go to NXT. But, I mean, we'll see. If fucking ZZ wins and they bring him up to the main roster, it's going to be terrible because this guy can't do shit. Tony,
I have one more question about this.
Shoot.
This Patrick guy. Mm-hmm. Do you think he has to feature with the company?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think he could be a bona fide star someday, as they say in the streets?
I wouldn't put him as somebody who could, definitely be a main eventer, but this guy looks like he is far above people in NXT right now. I would rather watch this guy than, say, what's his name, Angelo Dawkins, Cal Bishop, these guys that people would be like, who? Yeah, I don't know anything about Scott Dawson that stands out to me. And this guy's young, too. That's another thing. He's 19 or whatever. So
really?
He's got a ton of... kind of like the Cody Rhodes situation. He's so good at this young age that he can have 7 years of learning and still be young, Yeah. I think he's got a future. I think that even the fact that, Jericho was just kind of you're going to come back and all that kind of shit, right? And he was just kind of I'll do whatever I kind of do. And he's like, no, you're coming back. And Hogan actually, I don't know what he said, but he was at the end of the episode of, I think it was the Tough Talk one. Patrick was like, all right, well, do you guys have any, what's the next step? Whatever. And Hogan just started, naming names of, talk to this guy and shit. Just gonna hook up with this guy. I'll give you a fucking contract. So it'll be interesting.
All the people on the show, I just want to say, all these people on the show, just you don't want any of these people to, like, fail, really. They're all here trying to, like, prove something in some sort of way. So at the end of the day, I hope all these people could get, like, a contract with WWE or can continue make some sort of money with what they're doing. So I wish best of luck for all these people.
Especially Sarah Lee, because she's cute.
Oh,
So,
cute.
a couple more, actually 2 more hot tags that I have down here. ESPN might be covering WWE in the future. Jonathan Coachman's pushing to start getting SummerSlam be an actual, like, focal point for ESPN. And some of the reasonings on these reports, which may or may not be true, are that ESPN's kind of hurting right now, and they need to get as much outside people viewing them as possible, so they're going to try to tap into the WWE market. And other things are just kind of like, well, WWE is kind of popular, let's just go ahead and do it. Like, you guys think it makes sense?
I think it makes sense, and here's why. And I think they've been pushing this for a while because ESPN started to cover WrestleMania this year as, like, a very important thing. Like, they constantly were posting tweets of, like, the matches and stuff throughout the thing. And also ESPN did cover for, like, their Make-A-Wish stuff. They had a John Cena story on there. And I know they've done it before, but it's been a while since they've had, like, a WWE specific, like, segment on that show about a Make-A-Wish things. So it makes sense. How I don't know how, like, this sports universe will take it, because whenever I see ESPN post anything wrestling related, whether it's on, like, their website or on social media, the first thing that always pops up is it's not a sport, and it's every single time. So I don't know if it'll get a good reaction. It might bring in more people to watch it. I don't know how bad ESPN's ratings are right now, if they are actually doing bad, but I just don't know what type of reaction it will get, and if they'll be able to get enough people to come in to watch it. So if they can, then good, but I don't know if they'll be able to actually do it. I think there'll be too much of, like, a pushback, because a lot of people don't view it as a sport, which is a shame, because they do some shit that no one else on the planet can do.
I mean, if the main goal is for them to increase viewership for ESPN, I think it is a good idea because, like, take me, for example. I don't really watch any of the major competitive sports, so I really have no reason to watch ESPN. If they were talking about wrestling in an intelligent way, I might tune in to SportsCenter or something if they're going to do a WrestleMania segment or SummerSlam or something like that. So if their main goal is to get new people, I think it's a good idea. Sure, like Drew said, you are going to have the backlash from people, complaining that it's not a legitimate sport and stuff like that. But getting the name out there, as long as they don't spend too much time focusing on that, I don't think they're going to alienate their main audience. So I think it's a wise move for them.
The one thing I do want to see, though, is I want to see Michelle Beadle interview AJ Lee, even though she's not with the company anymore.
My thing is, if ESPN covers things like poker, they should cover WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that poker is, like, not staged, but at the same time, it's like, shit, competitive eating is more of a sport than WWE. Give me a fucking break.
Just don't talk shit about darts, or you'll get Sean in a rage.
You just mentioned Michelle Beadle. She might have to end up interviewing CM Punk now that he's with the UFC.
That is true. Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting.
First question, so, how's your wife?
Even better. So, fuck your wife for one.
Awkward as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Last hot tag here, unless anybody else has anything else to tag in for ESPN.
Fuck ESPN.
UK sucks.
Stephanie McMahon was talking about Darren Young. They brought up the idea that not why, but like how they haven't done any kind of things with him coming out as gay for his character. And she kind of alluded to the idea that, well, Darren Young might be, but his character isn't. And they kind of went like, wait, what? And she said, well, we might do something like that in the future. So 2 things here. One, does that make any sense that it's like, well, his character isn't really gay? Like, he doesn't have a character that points one way or the other. Like, it's not like he's a womanizer type of guy where you're trying to play that. Like, we all know Undertaker's not really a dead guy, but
how do you play a gay character? You make him a flaming obnoxious character.
And then that's offensive as hell. So
no, wait. What you do is you make
idiots.
Hairstyle is...
Yeah, like, that's... If they were going to do something like that, they would go so far over the top that it would end up being offensive. So they can't really do it. Unless it's something where he pitches it to them and he goes, I want to do it, then they go, okay, maybe, but... I mean, why can't he just be Darren Young?
Exactly. Like a lot of the wrestlers, his sexuality isn't part of his identity. I mean, somebody like an Adam Rose or like Ziggler now, where they actually have women that their character kind of plays off of, then it makes sense. But with him and a lot of guys, it's not even an issue. So like you said, if they're trying to do something about it, it would be offensive. I can understand where people could get offended if like they tried to pair him up with a woman and it's like, oh, here's my girlfriend or something. Yeah, that would kind of be weird because people know the reality of it. But at the same time, like you said, if they tried to give him a boyfriend on TV or something, I don't think they'd handle it very well. So you're going to offend people either way. So I think just making his sexuality a non-issue is the way to go, like they've been doing.
There's something that happens when you address it in pro wrestling. You get Orlando Jordan. If anyone remembers that gimmick, you know what I'm referring to.
Anybody else want to tag in before we end this edition of the Hot Tags? Alrighty, well that's it for the Hot Tags then. Part 2 is done. We need to take a break with the rest hold. We're going to come back after that with Battleground Review, so stay tuned. Click on that next video. Smack Talk will roll on.